Hello YouTube, I hope you're all doing well. My name is Joseph. Thank you for tuning in to the Popsicle Night channel. In today's video, we will be looking at all of the dark type Pokemon that will be in the new Darkness Ablaze set. Whether the Pokemon card is playable or not, we will take a look at all of them. It is important to note the following cards you could use within a dark type deck. We have Pierce. Search your deck for an energy and a dark type Pokemon and put it into your hand. Please note that it says an energy, so it doesn't have to be a basic energy. And you can basically search any Pokemon from your deck as long as it is a dark type using this support card. So this is probably going to be a staple for any dark type deck. The next one is the hiding energy. It provides a dark type energy to any Pokemon it is attached to, but if it is attached specifically to a dark type Pokemon, that Pokemon will have no retreat cost. Okay, with that said, we'll be taking a look at the following Pokemon in the order of their appearance. One thing to keep in mind that dark type Pokemon has a weakness to either a fighting or a grass type, so do be careful when facing off with these specific matchups. Okay, so the first one we'll be taking a look at is Slowbro V, a basic Pokemon with 210 HP. It has a weakness to fighting with 3 retreat cost. It has the ability Rapid Fire Poison. Once during your turn, if you are in the active, you may make your opponent poison. With 1 attack, tripling shot, 2 dark energy and 1 colorless, it does 130 damage. And during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot retreat. So with this one, you can maybe switch Slowbro V into the active just to poison your opponent, then just bring him back to the bench somehow. Maybe it can pair nicely with Toxtricity. Maybe. I'm sure there are ways you can utilize this ability. So that is the Slowbro V. Going on to the next two, we have Grimer, which is the basic, and its evolution is Muck at stage 1. Grimer at 80 HP, it has weakness to fighting and 3 retreat cost. Its first attack is Stomp Off. With 1 dark energy, you can discard the top card of your opponent's deck. And its second attack, Sludge Whirlpool. 1 dark energy and 2 colorless, and it does 50 damage. This one could be useful for milling your opponent's deck, maybe. And then it's stage 1, Muck with 140 HP. It has a weakness to fighting, and its retreat cost becomes 4. Its first attack is Triple Poison with 1 dark energy. The opponent's active Pokemon becomes poisoned, but instead of 1 damage counter, it does 3 poison damage counter every checkup. And the second attack is Sludge Whirlpool. With 1 dark type and 3 colorless, it does 120 damage. Now, since the retreat cost for this Muck becomes 4, you can possibly equip a buff padding, which will add plus 50 HP. So this Muck can have up to 190 HP. What's nice about this is that it also has an attack that deals 120 damage while dealing a lot of poison damage. While it is 4 energy cost, you have the Hydreigon's ability to easily give this Pokemon its energy requirement. But we'll talk about Hydreigon in a little bit. But you can also use the Twin Energy since its cost is 1 dark and the rest is 3 colorless. So you can fill that requirement with the Twin Energy. So that is Grimer and Muck. Next up, we have the Spinarak, and its evolution is Ariados. With Spinarak, it has 60 HP with a weakness to fighting, with 1 retreat cost. Its first attack is 1 dark energy and it deals 10 damage, and the second attack is Sting, 1 darkness and 1 colorless, and it does 20 damage. Nothing special. Now with Ariados with 110 HP, weakness to fighting, and its retreat cost now becomes 2. It has an ability Spider Net. When you evolve this from your hand, you may switch one of your opponent's benched evolution into the active. It is some circumstantial ability because you can only gust evolution Pokemon from your opponent's bench into the active. It could come in handy. A lot of the new Pokemon being used now are VMAX, and many with some type of evolution. Maybe their Pokemon is about to get KO'd and they retreat it into their bench. And so when you evolve this, you can bring that weakened evolved Pokemon back into your opponent's active and finish it off. And it has an attack, Poison Sting, with 1 dark and 1 colorless energy. It does 30 damage and your opponent becomes poisoned. So that's the Spinarak and Ariados. The next one is Crobat V. It's a basic Pokemon, and here's a look at the full art version. It has 180 HP with a weakness to fighting with 1 retreat cost. Its ability, Dark Acid. When you play this Pokemon from your hand into your bench, you can draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. And it's important to note that you can only use 1 Dark Asset ability per turn. So you can't use 2 Crobat V ability in 1 turn. This is what a lot of the competitive players are looking to get because of its ability. It's much like the trainer card Lily. Now, since Eternatus VMAX, as we'll see later, requires a lot of Dark type Pokemon in the bench, you can use this ability to draw more cards at the same time you are increasing the attack of Eternatus VMAX. But since this ability is not limited to just Dark type decks, this card can be used in any deck. That's why it's such a good card. It also has an attack, Venomous Fang, 1 dark and 1 colorless energy, does 70 damage, and your opponent becomes poisoned. Can be useful, but mostly for the ability is what a lot of the players will be using this card for. So definitely try to get your hands on one of these Crobat V. The next one is Darkrai. It's a basic Pokemon, 120 HP, weakness to grass with 2 retreat cost. It has an ability, Darkness Guard. If it has a dark energy attached to it, it takes 20 less damage. It has the attack, Vortex of Darkness, 3 colorless energy, and it does 60 damage, but for each dark type energy you can do 20 more damage in addition to 60. So if you already have 3 dark energy to fulfill the 3 colorless requirement, normally this attack would do 120 damage. So it would take 140 damage to one-hit KO this Pokemon with the ability Darkness Guard, because it does take 20 less damage. But overall, it's nothing special. You could technically fit this in with any deck since its attack cost is all colorless. But since it requires 3 energy, it's a bit much and only hitting for 60 damage. So it's unlikely that this Pokemon will see any competitive play. But we'll see. The next 2 is Purrloin and Liepard. So Purrloin is a basic Pokemon, 70 HP. It has a weakness to grass, 1 retreat cost. The first attack is Dig Claws, 1 dark energy, 10 damage. And then the second attack is Fake Out, 2 colorless, 20 damage. And you flip a coin, and if it's heads, you paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. So the second attack could be useful. Now its stage 1 evolution is Liepard, 100 HP, weakness to grass, and 1 retreat cost. It has the ability Limber, where this Pokemon cannot be paralyzed. And it has an attack, Slashing Claw, with 1 dark and 2 colorless. It does 90 damage. Now its ability, it's nice, but it's limited to go against decks that utilize paralysis. But at this point, we don't really see a lot of paralysis decks or that utilizes paralysis. This one is kind of just here, but you never know. That ability might just come in handy one day. Now the next 3 evolution line, we have Deino, we have Zweilous, and Hydreigon. So with Deino, it's basic, 60 HP. It has weakness to grass, 1 retreat cost, with an attack, Ram, 1 colorless energy for 10 damage. Nothing special. And its stage 1 is Zweilous, 100 HP, weakness to grass, 2 retreat cost. First attack is Corkscrew Punch with 1 dark and 1 colorless energy. It does 30 damage. And its second attack is Darkness Fang, 2 dark and 1 colorless energy. That does 70 damage. But the one that we want to look at is its stage 2, Hydreigon. With 160 HP, it has a weakness to grass, 3 retreat costs, but it has the ability Dark Squall. Now as often as you like during your turn, you can attach a dark energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon as often as you like. So this is basically like Magnezone, the Metal Magnezone, or the Lightning Magnezone. So it can be very powerful in dark type decks. But the downside is that it is a stage 2, but you can use rare candy, but finding its evolution and things like that can get very difficult. So it's just a matter of setting it up. Its ability is very useful. So again, that's the only downside, is it's because it's a stage 2. So that's the Hydreigon evolution line. Very useful ability and very useful Pokemon to have in dark type decks. The next one we have is Hoopa. It's a basic Pokemon, 120 HP with a weakness to grass. Has 2 retreat costs, and it has an attack, Assault Gate, 1 dark type energy that does 90 damage. Now it says it is not affected by weakness, and you must have moved this Pokemon from your bench to your active during your turn to do an attack. Otherwise, it does nothing. Now with this Pokemon, it's a little awkward because yes, it only takes 1 energy and that's good, but the condition to be able to attack is so awkward. Unless you switch this Pokemon into your active during your turn, it doesn't do anything. And to top it off, it says that it isn't affected by weakness, so it will do 90 damage even if your opponent is weak against dark types, if I understand this correctly. So what about resistance? Well, if your opponent has resistance, you deal less damage, so it's going to deal 70 damage or less than 90. So this one is not that good in my opinion, but there might be something out there that this could be useful against. I don't know yet, but we'll see. But overall, this one not too good of a Pokemon because of the condition that you have to fulfill to make that attack. The next two is Nickit and Thievul. So Nickit is basic with the 70 HP. He has weakness to grass with 1 retreat cost. He has an attack tail whip. It doesn't do any damage, 1 dark energy. You flip a coin, and if it's heads, in your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot attack. But it could be useful if your opponent has only 1 Pokemon left in the active, or they can't retreat. You can just keep preventing them from attacking while you set up. Maybe. Now it's Evolution Stage 1 Thievul, 100 HP. It has a weakness to grass, 1 retreat cost. Its first attack, Nasty Plot. It requires 1 dark energy. You search your deck up to 2 cards and put it into your hand. And its second attack is Sharp Fang, 2 dark type energy, does 70 damage. Now this one could be good in the beginning of the game while you set up. The first attack can really help you find the cards that you need during the start of the game. It's like Hoopa GX attack, Road Ring. Only Thievul is a stage 1. Maybe it's safe to say that this is a budget option or an alternative to Hoopa GX if you don't have them. So overall pretty useful, but nothing too special. The next two is Grimmsnarl V and Grimmsnarl VMAX. Now with Grimmsnarl V, it's a basic with 220 HP. He has a weakness to grass, 2 retreat cost. Its first attack is Bite that requires 1 dark type energy. It does 40 damage. And its second attack is Spiky Knuckle. With 3 dark type energy, it deals 200 damage, but you put 2 dark energy attached from this Pokemon into your hand. I don't like the fact that you have to put 2 energy back into your hand after you attack, but maybe it could be useful if your Grimmsnarl V is about to get knocked out, and instead of the energies being discarded, you can keep it into your hand, and maybe if you have Hydreigon in your bench, you can redistribute all those energy cards to your Pokemon in your next turn. So that could work, but with 200 damage, it's a bit low to 1-hit KO any of the other tougher Pokemon, but there are some Pokemon that can be KO'd by the Spiky Knuckle attack like Bolton V. Now Grimmsnarl VMAX with 330 HP has a weakness to grass. It has 3 retreat cost, and its attack G-Max Drill requires 3 dark energy. It deals 170 damage, but you can add 50 more damage for each extra dark energy attached to this Pokemon. So unfortunately, you can't add more than 100 damage to this attack. So with a maximum 5 attachment of dark energy to this Pokemon, you can deal maximum 270 damage overall. It's a pretty strong attack, and this Grimmsnarl VMAX has 330 HP, so it is gonna be hard to take this Pokemon down. So definitely a contender. This one's not too bad. Now the moment you've been waiting for, the Eternatus V and the Eternatus VMAX. With Eternatus V, it has a 220 HP. It has a weakness to fighting with 2 retreat cost. Its first attack is Power Accelerator with 1 colorless energy. You can do 30 damage, and you may attach 1 dark energy to one of your bench Pokemon. Having a colorless energy requirement to its attack, it's highly recommended that you have capture energy in your deck, because since Eternatus VMAX will need a lot of dark type Pokemon into your bench to increase its attack, it will really help to get as much Pokemon from your deck into your bench right away. So having that capture energy attached to your Eternatus V, you are basically fulfilling the attack cost, but at the same time you are increasing its attack in the long run. Now with Eternatus V's second attack, Dynamax Cannon, it costs 1 dark energy, and 3 colorless. It does 120 damage. But if your opponent's active is a VMAX, it does 120 damage more. So a total of 240 damage against VMAXs. While it costs a lot, a constant 240 damage against VMAXs. I think that's worthy of mention. Now its evolution, Eternatus VMAX, and here is a rainbow rare version of the Eternatus VMAX. Notice that it actually says Eternamax instead of Gigantamax, maybe to denote that this is bigger than being gigantic. So Eternatus VMAX, it has 340 HP with a weakness to fighting. It has 3 retreat cost. It has the ability Eternal Zone. Now with this one, you can have 8 Pokemon in your bench if all of them are dark type, and you cannot put any non-dark type Pokemon, otherwise this ability will no longer apply, and you'll have to discard the other Pokemon once you put a non-dark in your bench or in play. And so you'll have to discard the other Pokemon until you can fit only 5 in your bench as it normally would be. It has the attack Dread End. It requires 1 dark type and 1 colorless. It does 30 damage times the number of your dark type Pokemon in play. So with this ability, you have 8 in your bench and 1 in the active, so 9 Pokemon in play times 30. So you technically do 270 damage with each attack. That only costs 2 energy. This Eternatus VMAX can do tons of damage as early as the second turn. So in summary, out of all the dark type Pokemon, Eternatus VMAX definitely takes home the prize for being the strongest. Its attack cost is low with just 1 colorless and 1 dark energy, and its damage increases just by having Pokemon in the bench, and you can have up to 8. And it also has 340 HP, so taking it down will definitely not be easy. Suppose that you put a big charm to Eternatus, it'll take 370 damage to knock it out. As for the other Pokemon worthy of mention, first one, definitely Crobat V, with its Dark Acid ability, so you can draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Because of its usability, this could become a staple for most decks moving forward. Second is Hydreigon, because it has an ability to attach however many dark energy from your hand to your Pokemon in place, so it's very useful. This will most likely be played in most dark type decks that requires lots of energy. And the third one, Slowbro V, is good too. While in the active, you can just poison your opponent, then run away. I think that's pretty funny. Because of that, I'll include it as being worthy of mention. And number 4, Grimmsnarl VMAX, because it can hit for a maximum of 270 damage just by having 5 energy. I think that's pretty good. So I think we've covered that pretty well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like the video if you like the video, dislike it if you dislike it, leave a comment, and please subscribe to my channel for more contents like these. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.